In the news this week, are you open-minded about changing Australia Day? An exclusive opinion poll is underway as debate on our National Day drags on.
Left in the dark, thousands of Western Australians without electricity after a massive storm caused significant damage. And pro-Palestine protesters demonstrate at 4 Labor MPs' offices to seek change on the Gaza conflict. And later, Dr. Andrew Miller's comment.
This is The Evening News with Ivan Loon and Maliva Thorne.
Good evening. An exclusive WAMN News opinion poll is underway right now seeking your views on whether you're open to consider changing Australia Day. The question is, are you open to consider changing the date of Australia Day following years of debate? So far, less than 30% of participants believe they are open to changing the date, and over 70% says no, they have made up their mind and the date shouldn't change. The opinion poll will continue until next Friday. Here's Peter Candy with his take on the initial results as our National Day approaches this week.
Australia Day always attracts debate on whether it's the appropriate day on whether to celebrate Australia's National Day. The early polling in the WAMN poll indicates that the majority of respondents are happy with January the 26th. However, around about 70%, which is quite decisive. But it's early days, and there's still plenty of time for lots more people and different views to come in for that to be changed. But that indicates the early trend, which raises the issue. Australia Day has been celebrated on January 26 for many, many years. Under the Hawke government, it was formalised that the public holiday should be on the day on which Australia Day falls, January 26, or if it's on a weekend, of course, the following Monday. But so that gave it more formality. In the 1990s, the view emerged in some sections that Australia Day was known in some areas as Invasion Day. And that has, of course, as far as Indigenous people are concerned, it was said that many Indigenous people felt that it was an inappropriate day on which to celebrate Australia's National Day because of the invasion going back, calling the First Fleet, the settlement of the Captain Arthur Phillip, 1788, with convicts in Sydney Harbour. So that was the issue. That's the debate. It'll continue. There's no doubt about that. But the early polling in the WAMN poll, anyway, indicates the majority of people are happy with the appropriate date. Will it change over the next few days? Time will tell, and we'll have the full results later on. Peter Kennedy, WAMN News.
There is still no clear answer as to when thousands of Western Australians left without power in the state's north and wheatbelt areas following a massive storm will be able to turn the lights back on. The supercell storm earlier this week caused significant damage to power infrastructure in the region, triggering mass blackouts. Liberal MLC Neil Thompson went to Kalgoorlie to hear from locals as calls for accountability grow.
We've had a power black in a very important regional city. And it's completely inexcusable. The government's known about the vulnerability of the backup power system that's here in Kalgoorlie. And there is also a private provider of electricity in Kalgoorlie, which the government has not worked with to get an arrangement in place to provide that backup. And people were very concerned about the vulnerability of the power system. And so what did this government do? What has their local member done, Ali Kent? Nothing. Absolutely done nothing. I think the people of Kalgoorlie should be outraged about the inability of this government to resolve a very simple system to ensure those backup systems operate efficiently and reliably, and that when the power goes out with that connected system, that we have power to our city restored through the backup system.
These are extraordinary events. I understand your frustration having no energy over a number of days for some people is very hard to deal with. Families, people trying to cope with getting fed and cleaned and access to services. Can I just say I understand that frustration, that annoyance, but be assured we are doing everything we possibly can to get energy restored as quickly as possible and ensure that those supplies remain in place. It is, in terms of the impact on Western Power's infrastructure, this is worse than Cyclone Seroja.
Gatherings continue this week outside Labor Senator Sue Lyon's office to demand the government step up and do more in the war between Palestine and Israel.
The Friends of Palestine group protested outside 4 offices belonging to members of Labor in an ongoing plea for their voices to be heard. Paige Reid reports.
This was the site outside Senator Sue Lyon's office this week, as many demanded for the Albanese government to do more to protect the people of Palestine.
I mean, this is an issue that goes back 75 years, so there are people who have been protesting this issue for a really long time. Historically, their voices have been silenced. We are pleased with, I suppose, the worldwide support that we are seeing now, but it's not enough.
Friends of Palestine are a community organisation advocating for Palestinian social justice and human rights. In their most recent venture, the group are asking the Albanese government to step up and take action against the ongoing war in Gaza, gathering outside the offices of 4 Senate leaders demanding change.
10,000 Palestinian children are dead. You know, we have 25,000 Palestinians dead. Overall, we have 90% of Gaza that is homeless. We have 95% of Gaza that does not have access to clean water. These are not actions of self-defense. These are war crimes.
Not all agree, however, with the Friends of Palestine. Many believe the blame is on Palestine as they fired first.
Israel is the victim of a genocide and is defending itself against genocide. Israel didn't attack Gaza. Hamas attacked Israel and made it clear, not only in its charter that wants to destroy Israel, but made it clear in recent interviews that they would repeat that attack again and again and again. So Israel, in fact, has no choice but to fight for its existence.
In October, the militant group Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel, with the Israelites quickly retaliating, leaving more than 1,200 Israelites and over 25,000 Palestinians dead. 3 months later, and there is still no signs of this war coming to an end.
We need them to apply the same measures that they applied to Russia. Why is this different? Why did we have those measures applied to 560 Ukrainian children who were killed, but 10,000 Palestinian children doesn't merit that?
The other side have said they don't want a war, but see no other way of protecting themselves.
And that's what Israel wants. It wants to live with its neighbours. It never wanted to displace anybody. It simply wanted to come back home to the place where the Jewish nation was born 4,000 years ago, and where the Jewish people were sovereign for 1,500 years.
Paige Reid, WAMN News.
In a joint effort between the state and federal governments, the Mandurah Estuary Bridge duplication project kicked off this week to easing traffic congestion in Mandurah and Dawesville. The initiative involves the construction of a second 2-lane bridge on the southern side of the existing structure, aimed at providing much-needed relief for the approximately 33,000 vehicles that traverse the existing Mandurah Estuary Bridge daily. Originally erected in the 1980s with a future expansion in mind, the Mandurah Estuary Bridge will undergo duplication using the incremental launch method.
We've stumped up $68 million for this project to fund it on an equal basis, 50-50 basis with the state government. I've been delighted to hear about the planning and that's gone into this project, things like the disability fishing bridges and indeed the duplication of the pedestrian footpath on both sides of the bridge.
Police successfully rescued 3 men after their vessel overturned in the ocean northwest of Garden Island. Authorities received an emergency alert on Wednesday morning, prompting the dispatch of Water Police, the Police Air Wing and DFS Marine Rescue Coburn. The police helicopter was the first to arrive and confirmed that a 6-metre catamaran was taking on water after capsizing, with 3 men sitting on top of the hull. As the helicopter observed the vessel from the air, Water Police approached the scene of the incident. The men were safely rescued from the overturned ship, and authorities confirmed that the men, one aged in his 60s and 2 aged in their 50s, were not injured. They were then taken to Woodman Point after being taken on board by Water Police.
A Perth resident is forced to miss his father's funeral due to flight delays in Mauritius. Scott Green, his family and a significant number of Australians were stuck in the East African island country following multiple flight cancellations causing chaos. Travellers were left uninformed about the situation due to lack of communications. Some labelled the situation as shambolic.
It been shambolic right from the start, with a complete lack of communication. I've said it a couple of times. Air Mauritius is making Alan Joyce and Qantas look like saints at the moment with their treatment of customers. It really is atrocious.
Fortunately, Mr. Green and his family got back to Perth successfully after days of waiting at the airport.
After years of announcements, delays and concepts, the government has confirmed the creation of a screen production facility in Perth's north. The building of the project on Marshall Road in Malaga will create an estimated 600 indirect and direct jobs and will see the Cook government investing $233.5 million. The screen production facility will aid WA in drawing in some of the $2 billion spent annually on national and international productions in the nation.
And now here's Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly medical and news commentary.
Hi, Happy New Year and welcome back to Ivan and the WAMN team. It's certainly promising to be a year of intense news stories internationally and locally. Very interesting to see the state government focus on climate change and what that's going to mean for not just energy security, but also health. It's an important driver of all sorts of aspects of people's health, including, of course, mental health and stress, as we see people exposed to floods and fires and storms on what the scientific consensus believes will be a more frequent basis. So I know that there are some people who still want to raise questions about whether our climate really is changing. But in medicine, we follow the science, and in this case, people like the Bureau of Meteorology, NASA, the American Academy of Sciences, there's no doubt in their mind that these kind of events are going to become more frequent. And as usual, the biggest impact will be on the people with the least resources. So we have to take that into account as we plan for healthcare in the future, and that's something we'll be trying to hold the government account for. Another interesting story to follow in WA is going to be the situation with Aishwarya's father running in the state election coming up. And of course, we also have other elections around the world which are going to impact on all of our futures. So it's better to be informed and engaged about these things, and part of the discussion here on the news will hopefully be a thoughtful and insightful analysis, as it has been always in the past. So Happy New Year to you all. Welcome back, Ivan, and take care of yourselves and your families. Nice to see you again.
Thanks, Doctor. And now here's Leo Palisi with what's coming up on 6 News tonight.
Thanks, guys. The top stories we're following right now on 6 News. Labor's caucus preparing to meet for urgent talks on cost of living and inflation. A woman has been arrested for allegedly spitting at police at a pro-Palestine protest in Melbourne. And presidential primaries for both Republicans and Democrats set to be held in the state of New Hampshire on Wednesday. Remember, news is on the hour every hour here on 6 News, and you can watch live on our YouTube channel whenever you want. For now, though, it's back to you.
Thanks, Leo. And that's our first bulletin for 2024. It's good to see you all again. And of course, I certainly had a great holiday. Melly, did you have a great holiday in Indonesia?
I had a very great holiday, and I'm glad to be back in Australia. And that's our weekly news and current affairs as well. You can catch up with the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Remember to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Melly and myself, wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for watching.